Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Andrew Fazekas, the Night Sky Guy, your host for the Night Sky this week. Every week, we're here talking about what you can see in terms of stargazing, astronomy, backyard stargazing, whether you're using a telescope, or binoculars, or just your eyes. There's always something to see in the night sky. And this week, what's really interesting, of course, is that the moon, for those of you that are up maybe in the evening times, going out maybe once the sun sets and looking around, you'll notice that the moon is out of the evening sky. So with a moonless evening sky, it means it's a perfect time to do dark viewing, meaning specifically deep sky observing. That's the lingo that amateur astronomers use. Deep sky meaning objects that are beyond the solar system, way past Pluto, in the Milky Way galaxy, and even beyond that. And so this week, without the moon in the evening sky, the evening is a great time to go basically scouting around and seeing what's available in constellations that are turning with the season. We just, of course, today's Monday, March 21st. Yesterday, March 20th, we marked spring in the northern hemisphere, the beginning of autumn for those of you in the southern hemisphere. And so with the changing of seasons here on the ground, we also have a change, slow change in terms of what we can see in the night sky in terms of constellations and all their treasures that are inside. But before I begin with showcasing the planetarium and diving in there, I wanted to just mention, of course, my favorite website that I go to a lot in terms of space weather. It is an interesting viewing. Let me see if I can get that here. There you can see. Let me see if I can get that in here. Whoa, it's kind of weird. Well, basically what I wanted to show you is that there are possibilities of auroras this week. There are probably what they're saying is that there's a coronal mass ejection that left the sun, and we may get a glancing blow from one of these charged particle clouds coming off of the sun. And right now they say that in the late hours of March 23rd, so that would mean Wednesday. So Wednesday night, there's a possibility of northern lights. For those of you particularly in high latitude areas, there's a better chance to see them than those of you that are in near the equator. Probably I wouldn't gather that there would be any chance there. But those of you in the northern climates, maybe in Canada, northern US states, Scandinavian countries, for instance, there's a good chance. There's a good chance that there could be some auroras. And so stay tuned. Wednesday night, when darkness falls, keep an eye out for northern lights this Wednesday. And if you want to keep up to date on those kind of news regarding space weather, spaceweather.com is a great website. I'll put a link in the chat for that after the show so that you can check that out yourself. I like going there and seeing what's going on with northern lights, if it's worth for me to get out of bed or going outside, maybe grabbing my camera to take a look. This year, I've only had one chance here in Montreal, Canada to see it, and that was in autumn. And I've been waiting since then for another chance, but not yet, not quite yet. So let's see if we dive into the planetarium program and see what we have there in terms of the night sky. You can see right here the lay of the land for this week with no moon looking towards the southwest. The only lone planet that's visible right now is Uranus. And Uranus is a distinctly green planet. It's extremely far away. In fact, let me see. It is over 3 billion kilometers away, and it takes light 170 minutes to reach your eye when you look at Uranus. And Uranus is in the west right now. It is barely visible to the naked eye from very dark locations. So with no light pollution, you may be able to just barely glimpse it. I mean, it's magnitude 5.8, and the maximum limit that the eye has, human eye, is about 6.5 at most. So it's really at the theoretical limit, and I've never been able to actually see Uranus with the naked eye, but with binoculars, very easy. With telescopes, again, very easy, and you can actually see the disk of Uranus through with a telescope. But that is right now in the west, and it's between two stars, between one of the main stars in Cetus, the whale constellation, again, bright, fairly bright, 2.5 magnitude star called Menkar. It's in the constellation Cetus. And then on the other side of Uranus is another bright star in the constellation Aries. This one is magnitude 2. And these two stars, if you draw an imaginary line between Hamel in Aries and Menkar in Cetus, these two, moderately bright stars in the sky, and they're visible even if you live in the suburbs, out in the west, about an hour after your local sunset. Look between these two stars. And this is any time this week. So it's, I'm recording this on Monday, March 21st, but you can be any time this week to take a look at this and see this two stars, and then just draw an imaginary line between these naked eye stars, and in between the two, almost exactly in between, just off center of that line, imaginary line, you'll find Uranus. And you found it because it's got a very distinct greenish hue color. And because the moon is out of this evening sky, it really is a great time. There's no glare from the moon that'll distract you at all. And here it is under close magnification. You can see that distinctly green color. This is the view through a telescope. It'll look like a little green disc. And it's just amazing to think that it's over 3 billion kilometers away, this planet. Ice giant planet Uranus is really great this week because the moon is out of the way and you've got two stars, naked eye, level stars that are visible to the naked eye, acting as a wonderful guidepost. So check that out. And then, of course, I don't know if you guys noticed, but if you're out later at night, 9, 10 o'clock, you'll notice our friends from the winter sky still prominent in the southwest. They're kind of bowing out now. That I'm talking about, of course, Orion, constellation Orion, with the belt of Orion very easily visible, and the shoulder and the foot of Orion marked by Betelgeuse and Rigel. And then just off to the side of Orion is the brightest star in the entire sky, Sirius. And the whole other retinue of stars from Procyon to Aldebaran is all there for the taking. And these are all wintertime constellations for those of us in the northern hemisphere. For those of you in the southern, they're summertime constellation, and they're kind of bowing out right now. Over the next few weeks, they'll become harder and harder to see in the skies. And then in a few months, they'll be gone totally. So that's just something to take note of. And if you haven't gotten a chance to see Orion and these other super bright stars and constellations that they call home, check them out. It's a great way to begin learning the night sky, is using Orion as a guidepost. I'll just give you a very quick, for those of you that are new here, using the 3 belt stars of Orion right here. Let me just take off the names because I find there's too many names. So let me just get the name density off. And you can see right here, check this out. Right here, you can see the 3 stars of the belt of Orion. And if you go one direction, the next brightest star is Sirius. If you go the other direction, just draw an imaginary line. Generally, I mean, it's not an exact science here we're talking about, but generally the next brightest star, if you draw a line from those 3 in the belt, you'll reach Aldebaran, the eye of Taurus the bull. That's what Aldebaran marks. It's a distinctly orange, giant colored star, and it is lying 66 light years away. And it's a very, very bright star. It's almost 0.1 plus magnitude. So really, really neat. And if you further that line, you'll reach that beautiful star cluster that we've talked so much about during the winter months here, is the Pleiades, or 7 sisters. So they're kind of really, Orion is, I have to say, is just one of those milestone constellation or landmark constellations that you can use as a beginner sky watcher. Highly, highly recommend that. So check that out, definitely. Now, if we turn towards the eastern sky, you may recall last week we talked about the idea of looking out of the Milky Way galaxy and looking into the universe. And there's chock full of galaxies here where Leo is, and Virgo. Now, Leo constellation is rising along with Virgo in the east just after darkness falls. And they'll rise higher and higher, sooner and sooner over the course of the next few months. So it's a really good March, April, May, fantastic time to hunt for galaxies in this part of the sky. Highly recommend it. So here's just one example, and I'll be doing more over the course of the next weeks and months. If we find the Leo is very easy to find because of the bright star Regulus. It's the brightest star in the southeastern part of the sky in the evening this time of the year. And if you will know you find Regulus, if you look right above it or next to it, you'll see that there's this very distinct curving line of stars. Here, I'll zoom in a little bit for you. You see this? It looks like a backwards question mark. If you kind of connect the dots between all of these stars from Regulus, you'll notice this giant backwards question mark, or a sickle, some would call it. And this represents the head and the neck area of Leo the lion. And it's a very distinctive group of stars that form this backwards question mark. And the punctuation of that backwards question mark is marked by Regulus, right? Very, very easy to find. So that's how you know you found Leo. And it's one of the oldest constellations. I mean, in mythology, it goes back thousands of years. In fact, there's records of Leo going back, perhaps there's some hints as far back as 10,000 years ago, humans recognized this shape as a lion. Really, really interesting. And so if we look at the back end of the lion, so if you found that backwards question mark and you kind of look a little bit to the left of it, you'll notice that there's very close by a triangular shape of stars. You see this? 1, 2, 3, right here, tip of the tail. So you have this little triangle mark. You know that's the back end of the lion. So now what I want you to do is, from where Regulus is over here, and you have the backwards question mark, draw an imaginary line, and just below that imaginary line are a tight little group of 3 galaxies. They're marked by these ovals. Do you see those? See those little ovals? Right here is one. That one's M95. M96, and M105. 3 galaxies, all 3 of them are many light years away. Like M105 is 37 million light years away, M96 is 32 million light years away, and M95 is again 32 million light years away. And this is a group of 3 spiral galaxies. Check this out. If I zoom in through a backyard telescope, you can almost get all 3 of them in one single view. Not quite, but very, very close. And this is kind of mimicking how you would see that. Look at that. M105, and you'll see there's right next to M105, there's other galaxies. I'm telling you, this part of the sky, the belly of Leo the Lion, is chock full of galaxies. There's just so many. But these 3, M105, M96, and M95, are really beautiful examples of spiral galaxies. And let me see if I can show you what M95 looks like. Look at that. That's a photograph. Now, you won't see that through even a telescope looking that bright and that distinct, but you'll get hints of it. It'll look like a distinct fuzzy oval. And just imagine that you're looking at the combined light of hundreds of millions of stars, just like our sun, that the combined light of all those stars are traveling over 30 million light years to reach your eye. It's a wonder that we can actually see it. And it is really an amazing, it's just an amazing part of nature, I think, that we can actually see galaxies. And so this galaxy is just really beautiful. Highly recommend it. M95. Here's M96. Again, this is another spiral galaxy. Discovered back in 1781 by a French astronomer. Look at that. You can see the spiral arms coming out from the center. There's some dark dust lanes that are visible here. Just amazing. Just think, combined light of hundreds of millions of stars. That's what you're seeing. And here's that trio. You see that trio that I'm showing you here? Zoom in. There you can see in this little side view. I'll zoom in. You can see this photograph shows you M105 with these other 2 galaxies. It's another little trio. So there's a trio within a trio. Just absolutely, just beautiful, beautiful views. Again, with binoculars, we'll show you the hints of it. Very tiny hints of little misty lights at the belly of Leo the Lion. But really, you need a small telescope. But once you have this guidepost of the star Regulus right here, and then the triangle that's in the back of the lion here, and you just draw an imaginary line, and it's about the halfway mark, just in the belly, underneath that line, mark of the line, just off center, is these 3 stars. Highly recommend it. Do check that out. Leo the Lion with those 3 beautiful galaxies. I will put a sky chart on this because I think you guys are going to need that for that, just so you can remember the view and how to find it. And then we're not done yet, guys, because right here, just above the herdsman, Buddhist right here is the herdsman constellation, and it's marked by a very bright star called Arcturus. There you can see Arcturus. So we were up here was Leo the Lion, and down here near the horizon, rising in the east, late at night, is Arcturus. And then there's another faint star above here in Canis Venatici, the hunting dogs. That's the little, right there you can see the little mythological figures. It's a very minor constellation, and the brightest star is Cor Caroli. It's visible to the naked eye. And if you draw an imaginary line between Cor Caroli and Arcturus, okay, draw an imaginary halfway along that distance is another amazing deep sky object. This one is inside the Milky Way galaxy, our home galaxy. It's called M3. Very boring name, Messier 3, but it's an absolutely beautiful group of stars. It's called a globular cluster. It's 33,000 light years away, and it's home to over 500,000 stars. That's what you're looking at, the combined light of over 500,000 stars packed into a ball configuration. It's ball shape. It's really compact at the core. Through binoculars, you can see this as a little faint oval mist, and a small telescope will actually resolve a lot of the outer stars around the edge of this giant ball we call a globular cluster. It's just an amazing configuration. It's some of the oldest stars, we think, in around the Milky Way, over 12 billion years old, perhaps. And there you have it. It's at 30, despite being 33,000 light years away, it's something that binoculars and a backyard telescope can show off. M3, again, between the star Cor Caroli, which is a naked eye star in the constellation Canis Venatici, the hunting dogs, and then the super bright, you can't miss it, it knocks your eye out, is the yellowy, super bright star Arcturus in the constellation Bootes. Right in between there is where you'll find M3. So check that out. Lots of really cool things in the evening sky. And of course, if we move into the early morning, I don't want to leave you guys out. Those of you that do go out in the morning, check this out. This is actually a trio of stars that are visible to us in the early morning at dawn, about a half hour, 45 minutes after your local sunrise, before your local sunrise, you'll see Venus, Mars, and Saturn all huddled together. There we go. Let me just get this. There you go. And you can see with binoculars, you can see them like this, very wide pair of binoculars. And with the naked eye, this is what it appears. Really beautiful. So I would say, maybe half hour after before your sunrise. Let me see if I can simulate that here. There you go. See, it's darkening the skies. There you go. So you'll get to see it like that. And if we move the days, this is set for March 21st, but if we move forward, you'll have by Friday, look who's in there. Our friend the moon is approaching this trio. So Friday, March 25th, Saturday, March 26th, Sunday, the 27th, and then 28th. Look at that. 28th, Monday, the 28th. Next week, Monday morning. Mark your calendar. That's when you have that crescent moon joining this trio. Just beautiful. So you have 3 planets there. And then look off to the side, there's Jupiter just coming out of the glare of the sun. But this is just going to be just beautiful. You have 3 planets in a tight configuration and the moon joining them again. This is going to happen on Sunday and then Monday. This is showing the Monday morning, the 28th of March. So all of this, there's something for people in the morning skies too. It's unbelievable. There's stuff everywhere in the evening and the morning, stuff in the solar system that you can see, and of course deep sky objects from galaxies and globular star clusters. There's just something every week to see. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Of course, if you like this video, please show your support by hitting that subscribe button, and whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, you won't miss my next episode. I come out every Monday here on the channel, my channels, and I share some of my picks of what you should be looking out for from your backyard, wherever you are around the world. Thanks so much for watching, and I wish all of you, until next week, clear skies. Bye-bye.